All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of System Shock Radio. I am your host, Nigel, and today is a very, very special episode. Today, of course, is my 20th birthday. Happy birthday to me. Thank you all so much for posting in the birthday messages on my time. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you who uh, post a message on the CUDA board that my mom helped set up. So thank you all so much for your positive well wishes. Thank you all so much for 20 years that I've known you guys, and I can't wait to have 20 more. Thank you, Steven. Thank you. All right, but we're going to get right into it. So, 20 fun facts about myself. So, some of you may know a few of these facts already. Some of you may not. But without any further ado, let's get right into it. So, the first fact is that I was born on September 7th, 2000. So, I did some digging and figured out, well, what happened on September 7th? Of course, each and every day, something significant happened in history. And of two things that I found, one great, one not so great. The first one is that ESPN debuted on cable on September 7th in 1979. Of course, ESPN, one of the biggest sports news networks out there, even though I'm not really a sports person, that is still pretty interesting. But the other one is, unfortunately, in 1996, Tupac was shot on this day. Of course, he was leaving, I believe it was a Mike Tyson fight. He was leaving, and then he was shot hot in traffic, and he passed away a few days later, which is unfortunate. But the second fun fact is there are three sort of famous celebrities that I share a birthday with, and the first is Gloria Gaynor. She sang the song "I Will Survive." The second is Eazy-E of NWA, and the third is Buddy Holly of the Cricket. It's so the Eazy-E one really surprised me. And Gloria Gaynor as well. That I share a birthday with them. But moving on to the next one is my favorite video game of all time is Spyro the Dragon. Now, throughout these 20 years of mine, I've played a lot of video games, and in my opinion, none of them hold up as well as Spyro. There are some close seconds, but Spyro's definitely one of my absolute favorite. I played the original trilogy back in the old PS1 days. It's played the Reignited trilogy when it came out a couple years ago. I'm a huge Spyro fan. Pretty much everyone in my family is a Spyro fan, and that plays video games, that is. But Spyro is a man, and I just love Spyro so much, mainly because of the simple pick up and play nature. And I think I have gushed about Spyro the Dragon before here, but it bears repeating. I just love Spyro the Dragon. Next up is that I love to draw. I'm not very good at drawing, but I do love to draw. I mainly like to draw like superheroes and maybe some buildings, some scenes from nature. So I do like to draw from time to time. So keep my skills sharp. I remember back in like third, fourth grade, in between like assignments and stuff in class, I would just pick up some paper. I remember my fourth grade teacher had like a stack of paper and some. I think she had some crayons either, or I brought the crayons, but she had a stack of paper, and I would just pick some up and I would just draw away. Next is that I like to write poetry. So for those of you who've seen some of my poetry posts, those here on Facebook, those of you who are part of the Poetry with Nigel Dixie page, you know that I love to write poetry. And that's because, to me, poetry is a very beautiful language in which it allows you to be creative. It allows you to express your feelings in a way that is not the norm. Essentially, I think that's probably the best way I can describe it. But I love poetry. I love reading poetry. I love writing poetry, and I love sharing my poetry with you all. And I'm glad that you guys are enjoying my poetry. And of course, if you want to post some poetry of yourself, you want to post some poetry of your own on my poetry page, absolutely feel free to. It's Poetry with Nigel Dixie, meaning, yeah, I'll post my poems, but I'd love to hear some poetry from you guys as well. I know a few of you are poets, so if you want to post some poetry on the page, feel free to go ahead and do that. Um, Next up is that my favorite rock band of all time is Queen. In fact, Freddie Mercury's birthday was actually a couple days ago, but Queen, absolutely love Queen. It's music that even in this day and age is still absolutely wonderful. Bohemian Rhapsody came out in 1979. The song, not the movie. Yeah, I did see the movie. I remember I went to the Galleria Mall in 2018, pre-COVID. Brought a Freddie Mercury T-shirt. Went to go see the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. Absolutely loved it. A few historical inaccuracies, but uh, not every. A lot of the historical, I guess, movies aren't 100% historically accurate, but love the movie, love Queen. They have such a great rock feel sound. I guess that's a good way to describe it. But also the vocal range of Freddie Mercury. So for those of you who don't know, Freddie Mercury was born with 4 extra molars. So his teeth were messed up, but it increased his vocal range, which is pretty cool. Next up is that I am 5'8.5" years old. So when I went to the doctor a couple months ago, measured my height. Thank you, Aaron English. Thank you, Antonio, for the birthday messages. But when I went to the doctor, he told me that I was 5'8.5", which surprised me. I thought it was shorter than that, but 5'8.5", I'll take it. Next up is that I love wrestling. I'm a huge fan of wrestling. Not just the sports entertainment like WWE does, but also oh I've liked like mat wrestling, real life wrestling, and Olympic style wrestling. All that stuff is pretty cool to me. I'm not really much of a sports person, but like wrestling, boxing, MMA, any sort of like fighting sport is always entertaining to me. For some reason, I guess I just connect to it, and I'm still a wrestling fan even to this day. And next up, which ties into that, is that I've been to 3 live WWE events. One of these was not on TV. The other 2 were. So the first one, I told this story on System Shock Radio a few episodes ago. I went with my brother. It was December 28th, 2009. I remember it was a few days after Christmas. We went there live. It was my first live wrestling event, and it was absolutely awesome. The second one was in 2013, I believe, around, I think it was like February 2013. And I remember it was like really cold. It might have been March, but I remember that was the old school Raw. For those of you who remember that episode. And I remember the Shield was there, and thanks, I remember the Shield was there. They had the old school legend there as well. Pretty fun episode. And that was the first episode that was on TV. So I remember I used to record like the Raw episodes, and I would watch the playback like sometimes. And I watched the playback of this episode to try to see if I could see me in the crowd. See me. It was me, my mom, my dad, my little sister. We all went, but we didn't see us, mainly because we were probably because we were high up in the nosebleeds, because of course those were the cheapest tickets. And the last one that I went to was in 2015, and I remember the episode. Me and my dad went this time, and it was the episode where Seth Rollins and Kane were having some beef. I believe it was around like June or July. I remember Rollins was still on TV, and Rollins was still WWE champion at this time. But we went. That one was also on TV. So pretty cool stuff. I like going to the live events, and trust me, once this pandemic is over, I'm definitely gonna see if I can book some tickets to the live event. I have not yet had gone to WWE Thunderdome. Bones Jones versus Brock Lesnar. I am not sure. I'll have to see Bones Jones first. But I have to get some. I have to reserve a spot in the Thunderdome that WWE is doing. So for those of you who don't know what the Thunderdome is, it's basically, that's a good way to describe it. Imagine like a big Zoom call, but everyone's on screen as like the makeshift audience. But uh, yeah, so that's it so far. And then next up is that my granddad was a boxer. My grandfather, Pops as I call him, on my dad's side, my dad's dad was a boxer. He's a former Golden Glove of boxing champion, and which is pretty cool. And that's the same distinction that those Baron Corbin in WWE had. So, Baron Corbin and my granddad held the same accolade, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And the next is that I hate Twilight. The Twilight movies with, of course, Robert Pattinson, Taylor Lautner, uh, Kristen Stewart, I believe, yeah. Definitely couldn't stand those movies. Even as a kid, I couldn't stand those movies. Probably because, like, romantic movies and chick flicks. Thank you, Hina. Romantic movies and chick flicks, not really my thing. And plus, looking at the lore of it, it was kind of weird. But moving on to my favorite superheroes, villains, heroes, anti-heroes, and teams from both Marvel and DC. I'm a huge comic book nerd, and I love me some superheroes. So, from Marvel, my favorite superhero is Spider-Man. I've always loved Spider-Man ever since I was a itty-bitty kid, and I think I did talk about it here on System Shock Radio. Yeah, when my grandmother gave me the Spider-Man comic collection, and I read those when I was a kid. I watched the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. I saw the ones with Andrew Garfield, which weren't as good as Tobey. I even saw I saw Homecoming with Tom Holland. I have yet to see Far From Home, but I saw Homecoming. I love Spider-Man. I had the video games based on the movies. Of course, when the Spider-Man PS4 game came out a couple of years ago, actually on my birthday, so that's actually the 2-year anniversary of that. I got the day it came out. I remember I went to GameStop. I actually went to GameStop for a different game. I think I went there for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. But then I saw that Spider-Man, they were selling them, and I saw that, I had enough. I wasn't sure if I had enough because it was a pretty new game, and new games, of course, are pretty expensive. So I saw how much I had, and I had enough for it. So I bought it, took it home, played it, absolutely loved it. Probably one of my favorite PS4 games of all time. But just a huge, huge fan of Spider-Man. Favorite villain is Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom has always been a pretty interesting villain in my opinion. He's always had one of those like cool looks to him with like the green robe and the cape and pretty much the entire metal bodysuit. Probably one of the most dangerous Avengers and Fantastic Four villains. As for hero, just regular hero with no superpowers, I gotta give love to Hawkeye. Hawkeye is a hero that, in my opinion, doesn't get a whole lot of love because he doesn't have he doesn't have any superpowers, but he has sharp shot accuracy. Of course, the Hawk Eye. He has incredible, insane accuracy. He's good with a sword. He's good with bow and arrow, all stuff like that. Show Hawkeye some more love, people. Anti-hero is Deadpool. I absolutely love Deadpool. Probably one of my favorite Marvel characters. He's absolutely goofy, and I just love it so much. I just love Deadpool so much. And my favorite teams are the Fantastic Four or the X-Men. I love them both, and I honestly can't decide between them. Fantastic Four, of course, Marvel's first family. He's probably one of my absolute favorites. The X-Men, the team of mutants. And so, of course, what I like about both those teams is that in the teams, each member feels important in their own way, whether it's in the Fantastic Four, where they all have to work together and they all have unique powers, or with the X-Men, where they all have different powers. So that stuff's pretty cool. And so I absolutely love them both. DC, my favorite hero is Green Lantern. I just love Green Lantern's power of creation with the ring and everything. And I think it's an ability all the Lanterns have. Joker, the Clown Prince of Crime. Joker is probably one of my absolute favorites. He's funny. He's one of those few villains that you cheer for while also cheering for the hero, which it falls into my next category of hero is Batman. I absolutely love Batman. and he's not a superhero because he doesn't have any power. Whereas, in fact, he's a detective. But I love Batman so much, especially after I played the Arkham games. It just made me love Batman even more. Antihero is another in Batman's sort of rogue galleries. Is Red Hood, the former Robin, and who was tortured by the Joker. But the thing is, people elected for Jason Todd to be killed off, but it just gave way to Red Hood. So him dying was kind of great for him, I guess. But and then Team is Justice League and or Teen Titans, mainly because of the TV shows I used to watch when I was a kid of them both. But now that the nerd stuff is out of the way, let's get back into it. We're on number 13 now. Is that I have two older brothers, a niece and a nephew. One of my older brothers I don't really talk to as much, but of course, the one I talk to pretty much the most, my older brother Tony. And then I have a niece, Natalie, and then a nephew, Natalie's brother, Makai. And I love them both. I love my older brother. And next is I'm learning how to play guitar. I don't know if you can see my guitar in the background there, but I am learning how to play. I said I wanted to learn how to play, and I'm learning how to play. I've learned one song so far, and that's Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple, aka probably the easiest song to learn on guitar. And I'm learning, I believe, Other Side by Red Hot Chili Peppers. I said I wanted to learn next. But next up is that I'm a junior in college. So college started actually last week for me, and I'm a junior this year or so. About 2 more years to go, and I can't wait. So I graduate not next year, but the year after next in 2022. So I can't wait for that. I'm still working towards my degree, of course. And next up is that I like to tell jokes and riddles. I like to have fun, like to have a good time, and I love telling riddles for you guys. Unfortunately, I couldn't pick out a riddle for today, but I will have one on Sunday for episode 28 of System Shock Radio. But wasn't able to pick out a riddle for today, and of course, I love telling jokes as well. Jokes oftentimes, in my opinion, are icebreaker. They allow people to become more comfortable with you when you joke around just a little bit. Or it's humor. Humor is, it's laughter is the best medicine, but laughter is humor. So, either or, take your pick. But next up is my favorite season is summer. My least favorite season is winter, though. I love summer, or love the heat, love going outside. We could go outside, that is. Getting ice cream, going to the baseball games. Winter, I hate winter, and winters in Buffalo are brutal. There's cold, there's snow, there's ice. You slip on the ice, you might get stuck in traffic. It's just a bad time all around. At least there's Christmas though. And then next is PlayStation over Xbox. I'm a PlayStation guy. Now, that's not a knock at you Xbox users. It's probably just because I didn't really grow up with an Xbox. I know my brother also grew up with a PlayStation, but decided Xbox was probably better for him. And that's just not the road I walked down. Now, the only reason I get an Xbox is probably for Halo and Gears of War. That's about it. And I no longer need it for Cuphead because I have it for Switch, and then like a month or so ago they released it for PS4. But second to last is number 19. That is I work at Wegmans, and so Wegmans, of course, is a grocery store, probably one of the absolute best grocery stores. Thank you, Liana. Thank you, Hilo, for the birthday messages. Thank you all so much once again for the birthday messages. I love and appreciate you all. But I work at Wegmans, which, like I said, grocery store, and probably one of a lot of people's favorite grocery stores, mainly for the customer service, produce, bakery, stuff like that. And people absolutely love Wegmans. And finally, and an accomplishment I'm still hanging my hat on, I say perhaps probably the best for last, is that at my junior prom back in 2017, I was elected prom king. And a lot of my friends know that one. That like junior prom was probably one of my favorite nights. That was just such a good time. I had so much fun. Senior prom was nice too, but definitely junior prom had so much fun. Partially because of this, but it was just a good time all around. And I walked out as prom king, which was really cool. But that is about it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And thank you all so much once again for your birthday wishes. I just cannot thank you enough. And I will see you Sunday when System Shock Radio officially returns with episode 28. Eat more on that later. See you all. Have a great week. Have a great day. And peace.